the very beginning of this administration, some of the folks in Silicon Valley were some of the president's biggest critics, right? Folks like Apple CEO Tim Cook, Google CEO Sundar Pichai, they had criticized this president on issues like immigration. Some of that's changed a little bit, right? Tim Cook in particular has talked more with this White House than some of his peers. So what is the relationship with Silicon Valley? A lot of these folks were out there campaigning against the president and Republicans in 2018.
Yeah, I've found it incredibly positive and healthy. I think that in particular the successful CEOs, and I'd put Tim Cook in that category, have been able to segregate the way they feel about some issues, which they don't support the administration on, with the issues that they do. And so we have moved from a sort of a conversation on everything to a conversation on issue by issue. So the most successful CEO is the one that say, look, we don't agree with you on X, but we definitely agree with you on modernizing government technology. Who couldn't? So we are going to embrace you on that. We had a fantastic function the other day on civic service, which is having private sector technology companies allowing their employees to do tours of duty. This is an incredibly positive, constructive way of the tech sector engaging with government. Got nothing to do with some of the more controversial topics. We've had incredible support from all of the top tech companies in doing something like that. This is transformational. This is like allowing hundreds or potentially thousands of people to come in and really assist the government be better. So tech companies and virtually all of the major ones have signed up for that. So they don't have to agree with us on everything. Clearly, they don't agree with us on everything, but on the things that they really think are important and that they feel passionate about, like that, or a number of the other areas, you know, which I think are worth talking about, like artificial intelligence, they've said yes, absolutely. So the most successful CEOs in terms of dealing with the administration, which pretty much is all of them, certainly from my personal interaction with them, have been very issue specific and willing to engage in a very constructive fashion on what I think are really positive agenda items.
Yeah.
I'd add to that, Chris, so from an NEC standpoint, because we have this domestic piece, but also the international issues and portfolio. And I can see that there's a natural tendency on the part of someone like Larry, but also Chris, you know, as a Republican, you show restraint, right? We're not looking to regulate, sort of no knee-jerk reactions. They're successful companies, but they're American companies. And so internationally, overseas, the job of the White House, the USG here, is to be their champions overseas where appropriate. And so they look at the digital trade chapter of USMCA. It's historic in nature, and it's very well received by the tech industry. And then on issues like digital taxation within the EU, for example, Treasury has pushed back on that proposal. And so there's also that dimension to the conversation, domestic, but also international.
And there's so many areas that we can connect with, you know, H-1B reform and thinking about how we keep more talented graduates in this country. Incredibly constructive part of the immigration debate, which unfortunately doesn't get a lot of focus. That's another one I can think about. Cybersecurity inside the government. So we put a report out last year on cybersecurity inside the government. We got 100 replies from the major companies down to smaller ones. All again incredibly constructive. So there is vastly more areas where we are aligned with and supported by the private sector than we actually have the time to do.